Hello and welcome to the Rays of Hope program brought to you by the Purchase Area Sexual Assault and Child Advocacy Center. I'm your host, Mary Foley, and it is our favorite time of year as we have our Season of Hope and our Program of Hope, where you get to meet our staff up close and personal and hear for yourself the incredible things that have happened this year. So I want to get right to our guests this morning. I'd like to welcome Guadalupe Shemansky, Angie York, and Amberly Walker. Thank you all for being on the program today. And I'm going to let you just take a brief moment to introduce yourself and what you do at the center. So,
I'm Guadalupe Shemansky. I'm working on human trafficking this year.
Thank you. Angie.
I'm Angie York, and I'm the Director of Education.
Okay. I'm Amberly Walker. I'm the Victim and Family Advocate.
Okay, so lots of stuff goes into those titles, and so we're going to start, Angie, with you. What gives you hope this holiday as you reflect back on the year at PASAC?
It has been quite a year in the education department, and as I've been on the show and talked about before, of course, we're right in the middle of our Green Dot experimental program. We're working with UK and working with our state office KSAP to try to get some good data on what is it like to be a teenager in our high schools in Kentucky, and what are the sexual assault rates, and what can we do to improve those rates. And so far, preliminary, what they call unclean data, says that we have a big issue. We have a really big problem in our schools. We can't really talk about what the specific numbers are just yet, but we will soon. Maybe we can do a show coming up in the spring. But my hope is that we have, as a community and in our high schools, a renewed spirit, just the spirit of wanting to reduce the rates of violence, wanting to make this program work, and right now it looks like it's working. Our kids get it. They really get it. They really get the process of being a good bystander and learning how to intervene in situations, and it just really makes me hopeful, and I want to see their renewed spirit as we continue to work through this together. Hopefully next year we'll have some results to tell you.
That is awesome. And so just so we can bring the viewer quickly up to speed, basically we are actually putting tools into the hands of high school students on how to intervene or to prevent issues of violence in their community. Just really direct, concrete tools and ways. And so am I right in my remembrance that up until this point, the state of Kentucky has not had a program or data on what type of problem we're dealing with, and that's going to change.
Exactly. Basically, there's no data anywhere. This is really a totally new field of research for sexual assault. And we are giving some really neat ideas to our high school kids. We give them proactive ideas and reactive ideas. And basically with a proactive idea, they would be something they would do ahead of time before a high-risk situation occurs where someone might be assaulted. And then with our reactive skills that we teach them, they learn how to intervene in the situation as a high-risk activity is taking place.
So that brings me great hope as well, as it should every viewer, that there is hope on the horizon for preventing this crime altogether. And so, Lupita, you are brand new to our staff.
I am.
As of August-ish, right, or September-ish, so brand new. And you are going to be focusing on a crime that, in my mind, is perhaps at the pit of what we see and deal with, and that is this idea, this issue of human trafficking, that it does happen here. What brings you hope now that you've joined our team as it relates to human trafficking?
Well, first, I want to tell you what is human trafficking, because we just hear the phrase, but we really don't know what is that. Then human trafficking is slavery. It is the trading, the selling of human beings. Human trafficking is not legal anywhere, but it's happening everywhere. There are more than 27 million people in the world that are living as slaves. The trafficking victims work in fields, brothels, factories, restaurants, homes, everywhere that the trafficker can make a profit. We want you to keep in mind that no one can force you to work against your will, collect debt using threats or forcing you to work to pay the debt, force you to work using threats or harm your family, force or pressure you into prostitution or to do other sexual acts, use you for any kind of sex or work if you are under 18, take away your passport, birth certificate, identification card to control you on your movements. We can help you find emergency medical assistance, emergency food and shelter, translation services, counseling and legal assistance. Then, if there is human trafficking around us, there is hope, and we are here to restore that hope.
Thank you so much. We are so excited that you're with us and you're on board, and we're very excited about the hope that freedom will bring to the community. So thank you for being here and for sharing that. And Amberly, certainly last today, but not least, you are the family advocate. What brings you hope this time of year?
Well, like you said, I'm the family advocate, and I work with victims who are survivors who have been going through the legal system, which can be not very helpful at times, but I do have success stories from the year. And so when thinking about this show, I found a poem that really just made me think of one person in particular. So I just wanted to share this poem and then a little bit about her story. But the poem's called The Promise. And it says, as I noticed myself becoming old and gray, I knew it was time to visit the little girl of yesterday. She had been kept safely hidden in a place where others had been forbidden. She knew I had to leave her long ago, so one of us could find the strength to grow. I promised her that I would someday return, for she was my main concern. No one could understand how her and I connect, for I was the one present during the crime and neglect. As I opened the door to yesterday, I heard the sound of children happily at play. But I noticed her sitting all alone and sad, until our eyes met and she became glad. We reunited by hugging and kissing one another like a beloved daughter and a mother. I comforted her and dried away her tears that were too painful for so many years. As I looked in her small eyes of gray, I told her that the monster had gone away. She looked up at me and said, I love you. Then I replied, I love you too.
Wow.
Someone who cared had finally set her free, the little girl that I used to be. And so that poem really spoke to me. It reminded me of a client of mine who finally, after the abuse happened about 20 years ago, and finally after that, she finally had someone that helped her, and she came to us and got help, and we were able to successfully prosecute the offender, who happened to be her stepfather, the only father she'd ever known. And she's now living, I guess, to me, she's been set free. Mm-hmm. She's in a healthy relationship. She has a new child. And she's just, the look on her face is completely different than it was when we met a couple of years ago. And so that poem really just reminded me of her, and that she set the little girl inside of her free.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that, because certainly that is hope. There is more hope to come as we hope to renew your spirit and celebrate a year of hope at the Purchase Area Sexual Assault and Child Advocacy Center. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Rays of Hope program. We're so glad that you've joined us for this episode. It's one of our favorite programs that we do, where you get to meet the staff up close and personal of the center and just listen to what brings them hope. And our main hope is that you will also have a renewed spirit at the end of today's program. I'd like to welcome Barbara Duber, Cammie York, and Lynn Russell. You all make up most of the administrative backbone of the agency, and Lynn, you have some direct services as well. So I'm going to let you all tell the viewing audience what your role is at the center.
I'm the office manager. I do all the scheduling of the clients. Mm-hmm. I take care of the waiting area and just everything that the clients need.
Mm-hmm. Which is a lot. And so they've come to call the center Barbara's house. So we know who's first and center. So welcome, Barbara.
Thank you.
Cammie.
Well, I work in the accounting department. I take care of payroll, accounts payable, the grants, reporting, and everything that goes along with accounting. I've been here, this is my second Christmas to be with PASAC, and very blessed to be with such a great group.
Thank you. Lynn.
Okay, I actually wear two hats there. I'm the volunteer director, which means I recruit, train, and schedule volunteers to man the crisis line and the hospital advocacy programs. I'm also the medical unit coordinator for the Child Advocacy Center, which means I schedule CSA exams and help out with forensic interviews or whatever might need
We'll
there.
make sure our physicians are trained and on the schedule
Exactly.
as well. So thank you all for being here.
I'm also the professional beggar.
Yes, you are our donation securer. So each of you has a very unique perspective, I think. So I don't know if you all have already determined an order, so I can just start with you here, Barbara. You've been with the center now
6 years.
6 years. So as you reflect back on this year, what gives you hope?
Well, I think what brings me hope is knowing that when people come in, they are going to be helped. And, I see a lot of parents worried about their children, and I know that I can say to them, we're going to help you here. And it's so true. I'm confident when I say that, and because I've seen it happen so many times. That we really do help if people will seek our services. We can help them.
And you really do have that unique opportunity to see the first session when they first come in and when they terminate the therapy services, meaning they've completed. You really can see that before and after shot, if you would.
Absolutely.
What is that like for you?
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, you like I said, you see people come in, they're worried, and sometimes you can even see a physical change in people. Sometimes the way they dress even, and there's just a whole different attitude, I think, and
just to give folks that are watching a perspective, we served right around 727 individuals last fiscal year, and nearly 400 of those were children who would have had families with them as well. And so you really are getting a pretty wide sample of folks.
Yes.
And their services. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That the hope really is that even though this terrible crime does happen, the hope is that healing also happens.
Yes.
Every single day.
It does. Absolutely.
Thank you. Cammie, this is your second Christmas,
Yes.
like you said, so you're no longer a newbie. You're
Nope.
a seasoned program participant now in Rays of Hope. So what brings you hope as the accountant? A very different role, even though you have some direct services. But what brings you hope?
Well, this year I thought of an example outside of my department, actually. I was able to go and help one day with the education department in the Green Dot program, which you probably heard about in the first segment. And that was very exciting for me. That program is very exciting in itself, just that, teaching high school students what sexual violence is and how they can be a part of preventing that is exciting. But what was exciting and special to me was that my son, who's a junior, was selected to be part of that program, and that was special to me because to see him excited, he's a 17-year-old boy that mostly gets excited about basketball games and winning basketball games, and to see him excited about something like this was special. And I have a daughter. She is a freshman, and she also asked, how do you be a part of the Green Dot program, which was really great. And I said, well, you have to be selected by either your principal or a teacher. And she said, well, I probably won't get selected, which broke my heart. But then it made me excited that she wanted to be a part of the program. And she actually requested for Angie and the Green Dot program to be a Facebook friend, which was really, really great. And so I don't know, hope to me is just being able to bring about change or hold on to the thought or the idea of change. And, starting with high school students, that's just a great place to start. And when two of those students are my own, that's brings me a lot of hope.
Well, you know, Cammie, it brings me hope, just what you say, that those are potential victims in your life, as we all have in our own lives, or they're also potential agents of change to prevent people from being victimized at all.
Right.
And there really is those two sides to that coin, and how awesome that the agency is a part of bringing about that prevention, and that your family is participating on both ends, you at the center and them in the prevention. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Lynn, you've been with the center how long?
Almost 6 years now.
Almost 6 years. So what brings you hope?
Well, seeing the change that's come about in the center, the people that have stepped forward, because I've said before on other shows that my hope is that people would have the heart to step up and help. Yes, we're trying to prevent it at the high school level, but sometimes when that doesn't occur, then we have to step in on the intervention part. And that's what my hope has been in the last couple of years, is to have people come forward to get the help, and people to step forward to help with the situation, which this year we have had more step up to, not only for the crisis line in the hospital, but for other areas that helping with the center, such as our lawn service, our helping us to pick up donations, things like that. So people are stepping forward. And seeing that does bring me hope.
Well, and Lynn, you know, speaking of that sort of indirect, people stepping up in an indirect way, this is the first year that we as a staff, right, set a goal of what we needed folks to step up and do. And as we closed out the first quarter, we were blown away by donations of supplies, of client snacks, of clothing, lawn care. I mean, people really did step in. And then in a direct way, and I'm just going to share with the viewer, you know, you and I spoke on Saturday when you called and said, I'm at the hospital, you know, we have a victim here. And we talked about that case. And when I was in Walmart, and so I, you know, have the cell phone to my ear, and we're talking through that situation. And when I hung up, I thought, right there on a Saturday, somebody's life had been altered, but somebody's life had also been intervened and supported on behalf of, because of you and what you were doing. And so really that is your job, that you're bringing in people to help with that effort. And I appreciate so much that hope, to know that if that were me at that hospital, that you were there and that you were providing that support. Right.
That's what, there's one quote that I have that's an unknown author, but it says, when the world says give up, hope whispers try one more time. So that's what I kind of have gone by this year.
And have you seen that has been effective for the volunteers?
Yes, it has. It really stepped up a little bit. Hopefully next year will be even better.
Yes, and of course we're always making that plug in that pool, right, for folks to step up. We just have about 1 minute left. Are there any closing thoughts, that anything else that you'd like to share with the viewer, or challenge you'd like to issue to the viewer for this upcoming year as it relates to hope? Anybody?
Anybody can be a ray of hope.
Anybody can be a ray of hope.
In any capacity. So.
That's right. Thank you so much for all that you all do in front of the scenes, but many times behind the scenes. Could not do it without you. The community doesn't get to necessarily see you sometimes in the same way, but I see you, and I see your commitment and your dedication and the hope that you bring to the clients. And so I hope that gives you, the viewer, hope for this holiday season, that there is healing occurring and that you can be a part. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the Rays of Hope program. This is what we call our Season of Hope show, where we meet the staff and hear what hope means to them. And it is certainly our greatest wish that will bring hope to you and renew your spirit as you head into the holidays and as you learn more about the Purchase Area Sexual Assault and Child Advocacy Center. So we're going to get right to our guests for this segment. Welcome to Teresa Morris, LaMonica Brown, and Kelly Morrow. So I'm going to, some of you, LaMonica, I think this is your first program. The other two, you've done this before, but I'm going to let you just take just a moment to introduce yourself and what you do at the center to the viewer. Teresa?
My name is Teresa Morris, and I'm a therapist in our Paducah office, and I'm also our trauma-sensitive yoga instructor.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.
LaMonica?
I'm LaMonica Brown. I'm an MSW. I'm a student at Western Kentucky University, and I'm the clinical intern at
So
PASAC.
you're a graduate level intern, so we've been very pleased to have you learning with us and assisting us this semester. Kelly?
I'm Kelly Morrow. I am a full-time therapist in the Paducah office right now.
And so you all certainly do a lot, and you see the human suffering up close, and you also see the human resiliency up close, and so I can't wait to hear about that. So LaMonica, this is your first semester with us. Talk to me a little bit about, just in your experience with us and the clients that you worked with, or in general, what brings you hope?
People ask me all the time, how is it that I can work with this population and hear and see the things that I do every day. And one of the things that I tell them is that I think about the end and not the beginning. And that's where the hope comes from. It's not about what happened, it's about how you're going to get through it and the fact that you can still live life afterwards. And that's what gives me hope. That's what keeps me going. In my own personal life situations, it's easy to get down. It's easy to get to a level where you want to give up and you want to give in, especially being a graduate student and a wife and a mother and a godmother and a niece, and you know, all the different roles that I have to play every day. It's easy, especially in the position that I'm in, to give up. And when I come to work and I see people who are struggling and in situations worse than me, I'm like, it's okay. I have it good, you know, and that's how I get through each day. That's how I do what I do. That's how I love to do what I do, because it's not about me. It's not about the things that I've been through. It's about helping the client get to a point where they can get to where I am.
Well, and I love that that thought. You know, it's about where you set your focus, and your focus isn't on the beginning; it's on the end. And so, briefly, obviously, we do focus on the beginning with the client, what's brought them there, but to instill in them that sense of future and that sense of hope. So, thanks for that perspective. That's an excellent perspective, and I'm glad you're on our team. Teresa, you are also the senior therapist. How long have you been with the center?
7 years.
7 years. And so you've seen a lot in those 7 years working with this population. So what brings you hope this holiday season?
I think it's the same as every holiday season, and it's that strength and courage that I see daily in the children and the parents and the adults that we see at our center. It takes a lot for people to come and share their experiences and to share their emotions and to share where they are, and to be able to be present with that is a very powerful thing. And so that's what brings me hope, is to be a part of that healing process, and to know that people do heal, and to, you know, kind of again focus on that end, and be able to know that people can get there and go on to live very happy, successful lives.
Well, and I think, you know, we've all heard more times than not, you know, how can someone recover after this crime, or how do families move forward? And so what I hear you saying is not only do we tell them how, but they actually do. This isn't just a pipe dream or something that we sort of conjure up and wish that happens. We see it happen every day.
Right. Yeah.
What else would you like to share?
Well, I have a poem. It's written by David Crenshaw. He is a play therapist. And it's called To Dream and to Hope Again. Take away the hope of children and you crush their spirit. Destroy the dreams of children. I'm going to start over.
Okay.
Take away the hope of children and you crush their spirit. Destroy the dreams of children and you denigrate their souls. Hopes and dreams, the promise of childhood, can be shattered regardless of a child's merit. Sorrow is the result, along with rage that smolders far longer than the hottest coals. To dream and to hope again takes enormous courage, as much courage as it takes to answer the call for policemen or firemen. To dream and to hope again is to risk, to undertake a bold and treacherous voyage. But there are some children who will cross any territory, any ocean, or any glen, to reclaim their hopes and dreams due to their remarkable courage. Adults sometimes shoot down the dreams of kids like deadly marksmen. As adults, let us stand, not as the barrier, but as the bridge, so children can hope and dream once again.
Thank you very much. Kelly, talk to me about what brings you hope this holiday season.
Well, I think the same as what Teresa and LaMonica both have said, just being able to see the people who have been through things that are really horrible experiences and to have the ability to move past that and to have some type of future ahead of them, and that it can be a positive future. It doesn't have to focus on, this one thing that's happened that's been a horrible experience for them.
And so you have a plaque with you. Talk to us
Yes.
about the plaque.
It's one of those things that I just found, and I thought it was really sweet, and I bought it not really having any intention for it, but it says, if you have faith, you have hope, and if you have hope, you have everything. And I thought, with our program that we do every year and focusing on this season of hope, I think that really speaks to what the clients that we see really have to struggle with. When they find that faith, they are able to see that just little glimmer that, something more can come out of it. And then that opens up the possibility for so much more for them.
Thank you all so much for the work that you do, and that is certainly the message that we want to send to folks this holiday season, but also January and February and March and on throughout the year, that if you have hope, you have everything. And so I want to personally take this time to thank you, Kelly, for instilling that hope in clients. To you, LaMonica, for your commitment to pursue your degree and to focus on helping human needs, and to you, Teresa, as well, for the hope that you bring and the longevity with which you and Kelly both, I think, Kelly, you've been at the center 3.5 years. And this is a difficult population, not the people, but the topic to work with. So the fact that we do have a seasoned clinical staff brings me hope as the director, that I know that folks are getting specialized trauma care every single day because of your commitment and because of your dedication. Any final thoughts on hope from any of you, briefly? Anything else you want to say that you haven't had an opportunity to say? No? Has everybody had their say? Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this edition of the Rays of Hope program, and we would especially like to thank the folks here at West Kentucky Community and Technical College in Paducah, too, for allowing us a platform each and every month to bring you topics and issues that we feel like you need to know about and that weigh heavy on our heart. We'd also like to thank very much the community of Paducah-McCracken County for your support of children and adult victims and male victims of sexual assault and child sexual abuse. To the PASAC Board of Directors, to the volunteers that make it possible, to the staff, and together with all of those folks, we send out a big thank you to victims of child sexual abuse and sexually based crimes for your courage, for your resiliency, and for your commitment to make sure we never forget that this crime is something that we must tackle every day, and every day we bring with us hope. We wish you the very best this holiday season, and thank you again for all that you do to make this community safer for all. We'll see you next time.